have different purposes in life. Some want to help others or inspire others to be more powerful. As we embark on this voyage of discovery, what inspired you to embark on your mission of connecting women? In today's episode, we journey through the labyrinth of midlife. From the bouquet of challenges to the rich notes of rediscovery, we explore the joy and purpose that await in the second act of life. Join us as we raise our glasses to the power of connection, where women find solace in shared experiences and liberation in lifting each other. From the crisp clarity of leadership to the velvety depths of personal growth, our conversations ripple with laughter of camaraderie in the harmony of shared dreams. Listen as we toast to resilience and renewal, crafting a vintage of empowerment that transcends age and circumstance.
Hello, everybody. Maria. Good morning, everyone. We'll start this all over again. It's Monday here in Las Vegas, and I had a busy weekend, and I want to welcome everybody to my True Love Knots community. And I am so excited because today I have this great guest all the way from the East Coast in Florida, and her name is Penny Fitzgerald. So first of all, everybody, just welcome Penny, and say hi, Penny.
Good morning. Hello.
Anyway, so we're going to have a fun talk today. We're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about wine. Who doesn't love wine? And we're going to talk about, in particular, maybe serving some of the women in the community. So the two W's, which are great, because you know what? we listen, we're in Happy Love-uary month, and that's what I tell everyone. Even though if you're going to listen to this later on down the road, every month is Love-uary month. So I think that's the key thing. So first of all, I want to welcome you, Penny, and hugs and kisses, virtual high five. And tell us a little bit about you, okay? And what brought you about today, because you do serve women, you bring together groups and community besides wine. So share with us, help us understand how you got started with this.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Maria. It's great to be here, and thanks for having me on your show. I appreciate it. Well, I'm Penny Fitzgerald. I'm married. I live part-time in Sarasota, Florida. It's beautiful, sunny, beautiful Sarasota, Florida, and part-time in eastern Iowa in a small farm community. I grew up in Iowa, so I am very used to the rural America way of life, but I'm getting used to Sarasota as well. I love it. Very beautiful down here. For years, I have been doing wine tasting experiences and bringing people together over wine and sharing a fun experience, connecting people, and just having a good time educating people in an entertaining way. I call it edutaining about wine. So yeah, that's been my business for a number of years. And recently I've switched to my own company called Penny for Your Shots.
I love that, Penny for Your Shots. Okay.
Yeah, where I'm connecting women. I started it via podcast. So my podcast is just called the same name, Penny for Your Shots. But the tag is Conversations and Cocktails with Brilliant Women. So my thought was, women, we've raised our families, we've had our careers, we've been there, done that. We do what we have to do. We do what's necessary. And somewhere along the way, some of us have lost a little bit of our creativity or our joy or what makes us us, what we were really excited about as younger women. Maybe we had a dream or a goal that we wanted to achieve, or somewhere we wanted to travel, or something we wanted to pursue, but we lost a bit of our creativity because we're so busy meeting our responsibilities and doing what we have to do. And my podcast is really about drawing those stories and sharing the stories of women, because we all deserve to be heard. Everyone wants to feel seen and heard and loved, right? You just want to be finding yourself again, or finding and providing and giving of ourselves in a different way, or from a way that we had maybe forgotten along the way. So that's what the podcast is about. That's what my experience is about, is finding what brings you joy and sharing a cocktail, because wine or cocktails bring people together. And it's just a fun way to come together and learn and grow and share some fun and wine along the way.
Oh, I love that. And you know what? I love that conversation and cocktails. So you must have a great audience that definitely wants to connect. I mean, let's face it, you give somebody a glass of wine, a cocktail, and you're in a safe space. That's
Hmm.
the key thing, because I think that's important today. I think, and no matter who you are, man or woman, is you want to feel that whatever you're going to share is safe
Right.
and you're not going to be ridiculed, right, or judged. And
Right.
it's interesting you bring that up about where sometimes we lose that joy. And I think that happens. I think that happens periodically, no matter where we're at in life.
Hmm.
But you're right, as a woman, and I'm not trying to say that men are not
No,
falling
not
under
at
the
all.
same category, but they are nowadays. They're starting to wear the same hats as we, but because we're
Hmm.
juggling so much, we're parents, right? Right. But
Hmm.
we're also maybe daughters, and we're also
Yes.
sisters, and we're
Yeah.
also friends, and we're part of a different, we work, co-workers, or we're leading, and whatever it is, we are juggling so
Mm.
much
Yes.
and we lose ourselves. And I think that's where that joy sometimes gets buried. And then we have to stop and think about, like, maybe we get to an age like me in my latter 60s, and my kids are grown, and I'm a widow and out of the house, and you think, okay, now what do I want to do?
What's
And then
next?
what's next? And I think that
Yeah.
I love that. So can you expand on that?
Yeah,
Some of the women
absolutely.
that you've had on, or some experiences yourself.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Most of the women that well, I'm in my late 50s, so the women that I meet are similar and we're all, kind of coming to that stage where okay, my kids are grown or almost out of the house, if not out of the house already. So, oh my gosh, now I've got more time. Now I've got time for me, or now what happened? You know, what do I do next? So some of my friends, they're traveling and finding what they want to do, like where they want to go. A lot of my friends, or a lot of my audience, a lot of my guests have started traveling. And so one of the things that I'm doing is retreats. I'm going to hold some retreats where I partner with other brilliant women. And like my first retreat, for example, is going to be in Texas Hill Country in September. And I'm partnering with a very good friend who has her own fitness business. So we'll be doing yoga in the vines,
Oh,
to start our days, and then we'll go do some wine tasting. We're visiting a distillery. We're gonna, find our joy a little bit, and kind of just have a retreat together for a weekend. And so those kinds of things have been coming up with my guests, and like just doing things for themselves, women doing things for themselves that bring them that spark something in them, that maybe, oh yeah, I remember I used to like to do this, or used to like to paint, or I used to like to ride my bike, or whatever it happens to be. Just reminding people of these are some things that I used to do, and wow, now I have time. I'm going to take time to do it.
it's interesting that you say that. First of all, when we were talking about we get to a certain age in life and we have more time. So I was listening to, which reminds me, I was listening to the Mel Robbins podcast the
Oh,
other
I
day. It
love
really
her.
was really thought provoking because she was talking about, like, so from the age of course, when we're born until 20s, we
Hmm.
spend the most time with our parents or whoever's taking care of us. And then
Hmm.
from our 20s, sometime in our 20s till our 60s, we spend the most time with the people in our professional world.
Oh,
Interesting. And
right.
then from there, from our late 50s beyond, if you have a life partner, you spend the most time with them or
Hmm.
by yourself. And I think that's interesting because when you take it and you actually segregate this, because if we're spending the bulk of our time with our professional family, I want to call it, when you really think
Hmm.
about it, we're
Right.
not spending the time maybe with some of the people that we want to love. Maybe it's our children, maybe it's our partner, maybe we want to get rid of our partner and find someone else. But the point is, and then what's interesting is when you get to that age, if you've lost your life partner, if you're widow, widower, divorced, you spend a lot of time with yourself. So I think there's a lot of bridges that we need to gap here. So what you're doing,
Right.
wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
That definitely. Where is Texas Hill?
Texas Hill Country. So it's kind of in a sweet spot, at the triangle between like Austin and San Antonio.
Okay.
It creates a triangle. So Texas Hill Country is about an hour from both of those cities
Okay.
are a little bit farther west. So it's up in beautiful rolling hills, and there are vineyards, and yeah, Texas, it's wine country too.
Mhm.
So yeah, that Texas wine country has really become a destination. So it's beautiful,
Interesting.
and we're going to expose some women to it and, have some fun up there.
So let's talk wine a moment. So what type
Yeah.
of wines what type of grapes seem to grow in Texas Hill Country? I've had some Texas wines. Some of them have
Uh-huh.
been pretty good. Some of them, now that we are
Right.
branching out, it's not just we think of Oregon, right?
Uh-huh.
California, Washington, and of course they talk about Long Island, but now we've had the whole continent that's able to grow grapes or
Right.
try to, depending upon the right. So share a little bit about
Yeah.
the wines there, maybe in Texas
Sure.
Hill.
Well, every state in the nation grows grapes.
Mhm. Right.
And some of the states were, they had their own regions prior to prohibition. And then, like, for instance, in Iowa, the
Mhm.
grape we were a big grape growing region for a while, before prohibition, and then, those vines were taken out and then planted into crops, so like corn and beans, so soybeans. So that, the history wherever, different states have different histories, but um, yeah, and some of those regions, when they came back, it's taken a while for quality to return. I feel like
Yeah.
in some areas, and different regions have different, as you know, have the different climates. So some areas are too.
This should have been off. We'll
No
edit that
worries.
out. Go ahead.
No worries. Yeah. So some regions, with the different climates in each different state, can grow different grapes. And you're not going to find, and you know this, but maybe some people listening may not know that you can't grow Cabernet Sauvignon in some regions. You can't grow Merlot. You can't grow Chardonnay. So depending on the climate in each region, it's different kinds of grapes. But in Texas Hill Country, because of the elevation, it's a little bit different. So you can grow, Cabernet Franc grows up there. There are some Sangiovese grapes up there. So yeah, and I think a lot of the wineries also can bring in grapes from other regions and then blend and bottle their own wines. So we'll be tasting some of the local stuff, and also tasting some blends that have been made up there. So yeah, that's going to be fun.
So when you're doing this, what do you find that most women want to, any top three that women like to discuss, especially when we get to a certain stage in our lives where, we're in our 50s and 60s and beyond, and look, we're pretty a lot more confident. Do you find, first of all, is confidence something that seems to be bridged, especially now we look at these gorgeous models and they're beautiful on Instagram and how they filter us. So share a little bit, what do you think the areas that of concern, not concern, but
Uh-huh.
seem to weigh on women's minds, the top three?
Okay. Okay, sure. That's interesting. You talk about, like social media and that, looking at beautiful people and through filters and all of that. What I'm finding through the women that I'm talking with is we are coming into our own and feeling more confident about how we look and how we feel. Um, I think with age comes wisdom there. And
True.
most of us are realizing that, it's way more important to be giving and loving and real, authentic with each other. So I find very supportive women, which is fabulous. I'm really loving spending time with these women who are, giving and supportive of each other. But as far as concerns, the concerns I'm hearing are, okay, I'm now an empty nester, and I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what's next for
Mhm.
me. That's one thing. The Another major thing I'm hearing is, wow, my body's going through some changes. you know, Perimenopause and then menopause. Yeah, right?
Guilty
Yeah.
as charged, right? Yes,
For
absolutely.
sure. For sure. So we're sharing, and it's fun because I remember when my mother was um probably going through menopause, and she didn't have people to talk to. I mean, people didn't talk about their bodies or their what's happening to them with other people, and it was just not the same level of sharing or working together to find solutions, or, oh my gosh, you're going through this too. Now I feel normal, So there's a lot more of sharing of, oh my gosh, I'm having these things happen. I'm not sleeping well. My hair is getting thin. I have these hot flashes all the time. Those kinds of things I'm hearing a lot. So that's been more of a, I think that's a common thread for a lot of us, is what's happening, these changes to our body and to the way that we, even like brain fog, it's kind of it's a
Absolutely.
thing, So I'm hearing more of that too. Like, wow, I'm not as quick as I used to be, or as agile maybe, but the inspirational part, or the part that gives me hope and joy, is we're working together to find solutions to that. We're keeping each other active and sharing tips for, what's a good diet, and how do you take care of yourself better, and how do you find ways to sleep better that are healthy, and then, just sharing fun together always. I feel like, and I'm sensing you probably feel this way too, that the more joy you share, the more love you give, the better you sleep and the better you feel in general.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? That's so true. It's interesting because you're talking about, as we do age, okay, there are things that are not quite the same in our 20s and 30s and 40s. And I knew
Mm-hmm.
even from when I started my 60s, I'm older than you, but by a decade. But anyway, so, and I understand that the body changes. And, one of the things too is I think that women, first of all, they fixate on weight. And that's the worst thing, because you see a lot of women that try to stay at their high school weight, which really,
Oh,
it doesn't look good on them because you look thin. And I always tell women, especially if they're getting back in the dating world, nothing looks as good as being healthy.
yeah. And
Seriously,
feeling good.
you're feeling good. And you know what? Healthy might be 10 pounds over your high school weight, or 15. You still look good and you feel good, and you're getting the right nutrients, and you're not depleting yourself. And I think that's the key thing also, for women seem to do that as well. But,
Mm-hmm.
when you think about generationally, when you think about your grandparents or even your parents, like, they didn't talk about these things. It was like
Mm-mm.
sex. You didn't discuss. And,
That's
and then,
right.
and we had a tendency of, and I saw this when I was younger, taking and just discounting people that hit a certain age, over 50, 60, and
Mm.
it's not the case anymore. I think that 80 is the new 60, and going on, because we're living longer. So I love the fact that you're talking about health and the right diet. And I think the key thing is you want the right diet that works for you, but not depleting all the resources you need, so you don't have brain fog, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
feel good that you can work out. I mean, listen, I can't do the same things athletically that I did when I was younger. So you improvise. And I think that's the key thing, right?
Yeah. Or yeah, you find new things, you find things that bring you joy. You talk more. Yeah. You listen more.
And you know what? That is the key thing. I was listening to a great podcast. I'm a big podcast junkie.
Me
That
too.
leadership, there's a couple of things about leadership, and women, as we do come into our own, we are leaders. I mean, whether we're just leading a small community, our household, or whatever it is, we are leaders, and we need to set an example. And you know what? Being a leader doesn't, and being charismatic doesn't mean speaking, walking in the room and dominating the conversation, or being the tallest, or whatever it is, or the most aggressive. It was interesting because there's two skills that leaders need. And leaders, they need to know that, first of all, that you genuinely are authentic and listening to people, because listening is
Mm-hmm.
the biggest skill. And you listen to them, but be present. And just what you said, being authentic. And the second thing is knowing that a leader has your back. So
Yeah.
as a woman, we need to have each other's back. And I think that we have gotten a bad rap years ago that, women were climbing the ladder of success and we were bitches. And I'm not trying to say that we were stabbing each other. And we really need to, like you said, bring joy to each other, lift each other up. And if
Mm-hmm.
there's a way we can help a fellow sister, why not? Right.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I think when we lift each other up, we feel good. It just is, it's good. It's good all the way around.
So tell me, what do you do to keep joy in your life? What does
Oh.
Penny do?
Gosh, I was having a conversation the other day with another guest, and it didn't even occur to me that people don't live with joy. That you don't lead with that. For me, it's everything I do. Like talking with women, that brings me joy. Having a glass of wine, walking in the sunshine, watching an Iowa State basketball game, usually, not always, but usually brings me joy. Just the things that you love to do. But even in your day to day, seeing a clean house is joyful,
Oh, true.
having all the laundry folded, that's a good thing. Just finding joy in the little things, I think, is important. And another thing I was thinking about the other day with, in the course of one of the interviews I was doing was, how do you keep going when things are maybe not as joyful, or when stressors come in, or when you're worried about something? How do you keep going forward towards the goal that you set for yourself, or that thing that you want, or that thing that is important for your family? I think, I took a podcast course, like how to podcast. And one of the best things that we learned in the very beginning was, go back and grab a picture of yourself, find a picture of yourself from when you were little, 6, 7, 8 years old. And I found one of myself, and it was this, it's this cute little girl, right? She was sweet and innocent and cute and had dreams and goals. And write yourself a contract that you're not going to let that little girl down. She has a voice. She needs to be heard. She had hopes and dreams, so don't look at that picture, pull that picture out when you are feeling like, I don't want to do this. I can't keep going. And remember that promise you made to yourself, to that little girl, that I'm going to see this to fruition, and I'm going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And, maybe today isn't going to be as joyful as yesterday or tomorrow, but you just, you keep moving forward and you'll get back there.
Excuse me, I love that. A contract with yourself. I think
Yeah.
that's brilliant. But you know what? That's true, because as women sometimes, and I'm not discounting men too,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me. Also, we have a tendency of burying our dreams, and then we get to
Yeah.
oh, I'm too old. I can't. Yeah.
Or I don't even remember it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
You know
never too late.
Absolutely. Had some coffee this morning and it went down the wrong pipe.
Oh, shoot.
But I think that is so important, because I hear that a lot when I speak to people that get to, and they're in their 40s and they think they're too old. I'm thinking,
Oh
oh
my
my
gosh.
God, you've got a lot of life ahead
No.
of you. So
Yeah.
that is very important, and you're right. And that's something that, to pull out those dreams and think about what you really want to do. Maybe they might change. That's okay, but don't
Yeah.
discount them. Gosh, I mean, we all have a passion and a purpose, and I love that. And I love what you're talking about, like just getting up in the morning and having gratitude and having the
Yes.
laundry folded. So there was somebody talking, they were talking about love languages. As you know, February is the big month, and people were spending Valentine's Day with the people they love. One of the things is we've talked about is Gary Chapman's 5
Oh.
languages of love. I know everybody's heard
Yeah.
of it. And when you think about the languages of love that you give and also that you receive is very important. And somebody had said, years ago, yes, they would have loved their husband to cook them dinner or go out and have a great dinner. Nowadays, you're happy that they just help you with the laundry, acts of service. So when you said clean house, I started laughing. It's so true.
Yeah.
Because as we have a tendency that we're not rushing, we have more time. I think it's important to have your house in order. And I don't mean just your physical house, but what do you say about your mental house and emotionally? Maybe you can expand on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree that you need to feel good, all, mentally, emotionally, physically, to feel, to be 100%. And, I don't know if anybody's ever 100% all the time, but, get to 95, as many days as you can spend at 95. And, MK Mueller has a book, 8 to Great, and she talks about 95ing. It's a great book about, well, you have to go check it out, but being at 95% most of the time, that get yourself into a good headspace. Think about what brings you joy, and gratitude is the number one thing, like you mentioned. Being grateful, living in gratitude helps you get to a higher plane, or a 95%, so that you can do the things that you want to do, and so you can keep putting that foot in front of, keep moving forward. But definitely your emotional health is so important. But gratitude, I think it starts with gratitude. I think you're right.
It's like looking at the wine glasses at half full or half empty,
Right.
right? And we
Right.
always like, oh, okay, oh, it's half full. I need more, but you know what? Or half empty, I should say. When you're happy with where it's at and
Yeah.
not accepting what you have in that glass and in your life, and feeling, don't get discouraged, because I think that's what happens is we compare ourselves, and
Oh,
comparison is the thief of joy, as they say.
for sure.
It's awful. And there are times, I'll scroll. I have to stop myself from scrolling on social, because I'll compare myself. I said, no, 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 no.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
unique. And I think that's what we need to keep encouraged. We are unique. We have certain traits about ourselves that are really unique to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody brings something, and everybody makes a difference for another person, even if you don't know that you are.
So we're almost on our close. So I want you to share maybe with our community, if you want to talk about this event or anything out there that you'd like to promote about yourself, because I love what you're doing. So
Oh, thank you, Maria.
share with us.
Yeah, yeah. Well, people can find me at pennyforyourshots.com. You can connect with me there. I have lots of opportunities there for connecting with me. I am offering memberships as well. So once a month, I will get together with people and Zoom and do like food and wine pairings, or sometimes I'm bringing in other experts to talk about, menopause or relationships, or whatever. That's but come and join me there. I also have a membership where every day I share something interesting or informing or inspiring, sometimes about wine, sometimes recipes with cocktails, sometimes it's inspiration for daily life. So that's another opportunity. And then also the memberships, or the retreat that I'm doing in Texas. And I do still do wine experiences. So if you're interested in having a speaker come in, or having a group where you want to share some wine and want to taste it together and learn about it, I'm your girl. I can do that
Now,
too.
when is your retreat? If you want to share those dates also.
Sure. It is September 19th through the 21st.
Oh.
So yeah, it'll be really beautiful up there and
Harvest
elevated.
time. Harvest
Well,
time.
yeah, right.
Almost, depending upon where you're at, right?
Exactly. So yeah, it'll be beautiful up there, and that'll be a really fun weekend to spend with the ladies and
Are you
learn a
limiting
little bit.
that so we can know that our people know when they start listening to this?
Yes, it's women only. Yeah, so
Is
we'll
there
be
a
able
certain
to
amount
be.
are you capping it?
We are capping it at 50.
Mhm.
So yeah, the first people to sign up, you can sign up for that on my website too, to get on the list. So, no commitment yet. You don't have to say, yes, I'm for sure going, but sign up to get the information as it becomes, and more trickles in and becomes available. So you can sign up for that at Penny for Your Shots as well. And that's my podcast name. And you can find that on Apple or Spotify or anywhere you listen to podcasts as well.
Well, thank you so much. And I'll tell you, this was some really great conversation, and definitely there's a lot more that can be unpacked as we're moving forward. And we can talk about so many things about definitely just menopause alone, I think, and emotionally how it affects it. But, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm going to encourage our listeners, A Penny for Your Shots. I love that name, but really having conversation, cocktails, and just feeling like you're in a safe space. We'll put those links in the show notes, and please head over to her site, check her out, because you never know what you're going to learn. You never know who you're going to meet.
That's
That's
right.
what it's all about, is forging great relationships, because that's what life is all about. So in the meantime, Everybody that's listening, continue to stay safe and happy and always spread love. Have a great day.